It's time to fire this thing up.
Welcome aboard ShipShape TV Essentials. This is your port of call for the most impactful upgrades, expert advice, and hands-on solutions from seasons past. This episode is proudly brought to you by SureHold, because anything worth doing is worth doing bright. From cleaning to protecting and perfecting, SureHold has everything you need to keep your boat shining. Don't just go boating, go showboating. Now, let's hoist anchor and set a course for another exciting episode of ShipShape TV Essentials.
If boating's your game, then you'll agree. ShipShape is the way to be. Out on the lake or on the sea, ShipShape means trouble-free. ShipShape means being neater. ShipShape makes boat work easier. ShipShape is the way to go. The ShipShape Boat Care Show.
ShipShape, America's favorite boat improvement show, is being brought to you in part by the most complete new and used boat sales, service, and brokerage facilities, Great American Marine, and by Boathouse Discount Marine. If you need it, we probably have it. And by West Florida's newest Robalo dealer, Kenyon Power Boats, where Florida boaters shop and save. And by Thomas Marine Marketing Company, the best place on the West Coast to buy or sell your used boat.
We're on location today in Boca Raton, Florida at Boca Plastics, and with us is the owner, Joe Rubino. Joe, thanks for having us out.
It's a pleasure, John.
Now, one of the hottest trends in cosmetic appeal for the boat today is the conversion of your teak woods, moldings, and hatches to a new polymer plastic that's out on the market. What I'm referring to is Starboard.
King Starboard.
King Starboard. Now, who's the distributor for this, Joe?
In South Florida, Piedmont Plastics out of Pompano.
Okay, and they're the ones that donated the material for today's show, so we really want to thank those guys. Now, let's get right into the project, Joe. What we have here is we have some of the teak moldings, rails, steps, and rod holders off of our 24-foot Stamis project boat. And the first thing we need to do in our conversion is we want to go ahead and take these side panels off. So I'm going to go ahead and just use a Phillips screwdriver and back these screws out. We've got 3 on each side. Now that our rod holder is taken apart, we're going to go ahead and we're going to lay out a template on PVC plastic. Now, Joe, why do we use this material?
We use this material because most of the teak comes through with marks, holes. Because the teak is old, we can't use it as a template, or else that will be transferred to our new piece of starboard.
So you use a bearing bit on that router, and that's going to carry any of those imperfections onto our piece of starboard.
Yes, it is.
Now, we lay this out a little oversized. We've got a piece right here. This is our template. We lay it out a little oversized so we can go ahead and we can router and sand and get those edges just perfect so we can transfer those edges to our piece of starboard. Now we're going to cut our template using the bandsaw, giving us a rough edge. Next, we use the belt sander to take off some additional material. And we'll finish the piece with an orbital palm sander. Right now, we need to hear a word from our sponsors, but please, stick around.
When you seriously want your expensive wax and buffing pads rejuvenated to a like-new condition, you seriously want SureHold Industries Serious Pad Cleaner. Scientifically formulated to quickly dissolve compounds and waxes from all wool pads, foam pads, microfiber towels, cotton bonnets, even blended buffing pads. All it takes is adding this Serious Pad Cleaner powder to your arsenal. Serious Pad Cleaner, another answer from SureHold Industries' clean and simple solutions for detailing all your toys.
Today, on Chapman's Corner, we're going to discuss the flame arrestor located on all inboard gasoline engines. Flame arrestor is a requirement of the United States Coast Guard. Should they ever board you, they can inspect the flame arrestor to assure that it's clean and it meets its specification. Now, let's remove the flame arrestor and take a look at it to see whether this flame arrestor complies with what the Coast Guard would like to see. I'm going to remove this from the unit itself, exposing the flame arrestor. Now let's take a look at this. The flame arrestor serves two purposes. One, air enters and enters the carburetor. In other words, this is the air cleaner in which the air is going to flow through into the carburetor. And the next thing that it does, that should you ever get a backfire situation from your engine, those flames will come up and will actually be cooled by the flames, by the blades itself. Now, should this be dirty when we begin, we're going to use some type of a cleaning agent. Any type of gunk or engine cleaner that will do it. We spray it on and then wash it off with a hose. Now, to prove also that this unit will withstand the heat and allow the flames to cool, let's try something. By placing a white paper over the top of the blades themselves, there we go. We have a torch that's heated, that's lit. We're gonna heat this. There we go. And you're gonna note that we've heated this. It is hot. Wow, that flame is just red hot in there. Look at this. And let's prove whether it's worked out or not. Remove back the paper. You're going to notice that it's still white. There's no effect to the paper at all. Proving this point. From Chapman School of Seamanship, I'm George Gavone.
Welcome back to Shipshape TV. We've been talking about replacing the teak woods around your boat with the new polymer plastic Starboard. Joe, what's the next step?
Once we have our template at a PVC, what we do is we lay it out on our starboard.
Okay, let's go ahead and do that. Now again, we want to make this slightly oversized, so when we're on that bandsaw, we can go ahead and cut out our piece, and then we can go ahead and use the router to give us that nice finished edge. Let me get in here real quick, Joe. Get our circles, get our holes laid out for our rod holder. Let's go ahead and take it over to the bandsaw and cut off some of this material. Again, what I'm doing is I'm just following the line so that our piece is just slightly over. Now that our piece is cut out on the bandsaw, we're going to go ahead and cut out the hole using a hole saw on this drill press. I've got a 1 7/8 inch bit, and it's just a regular woodworking bit, and we're going to go ahead and just cut it out. Now, when you're cutting the starboard, unlike wood, you need to let the material come out a little bit. You can't just go right through it. But again, it's very similar to working with wood. Here you go, Joe.
John, you did a great job on the holes. I see you put the double-sided tape on there. Now what we do is we remove the piece of paper that's on the tape, and then we take our template, our PVC template, and we put it onto our starboard. And then what we do is we turn on the router and we route it. The ball bearing will follow the template.
This week on What's Hot on the Water, we're again on Donzi Z, and we're going to look at the Z series, which is a really, really neat series that Donzi Z puts out. With me today is a very special guest. We have Kathy Mann, who's the CEO of Great American Marine. Kathy, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks. Happy to be here.
Kathy, before we get into the Z series, I wanted to talk a little bit about Great American. 3 big, huge locations. You're the #1 Donzi dealer in the entire world. Not for the first year, not for the second year, but for the 3rd year in a row, and no other dealership can make that claim. That's impressive. Not only are you #1 with Donzi, you're #1 in the world with Phoenix. Beautiful boats. You were #3 last year in Proline. You're going to change that this year. I think you're going to go to #1 this year in Proline. And you guys are just really doing things right. And I think the reason that you guys are doing so well in sales is because you do so well in service. I wanted to talk a little bit about the service that Great American Marine
There's no
does.
question that service is a very important part of the selling process, because without the support of the service department, it's very difficult to make those sales, because we want to emphasize that we want to keep our customers, we want them coming back. We've got lots of lines that you can start small and move up into, and we want to have a Great American Marine family where we take care of you both in sales and service.
Well, you have a family of technicians when
Yes,
you're
we
talking
do.
about that service.
Absolutely.
You guys can do canvas work. You guys can do repowers. You can do overhauls. You can do major restorations of mega boats out here. What kind of lift capabilities do you have at your location?
We have 40 and 60-ton lifts. At this location in particular, we lift up to, say, a 65 Hatteras.
Fantastic. You've got boat painters. You can do bottom paints.
Right.
You've got it all here.
Plus, we have a lot of certified technicians with Mercury, Yamaha, OMC product, Onan, Detroit Diesel. We send our technicians to school, maintain their certifications, and we do invest in our employees.
Well, you get so many awards for not only sales, Kathy, you get them for service, and
That's right.
it's just really apparent. Today we're on the Z series. We're on the 27-foot model, and this is, you know, when you're talking about Donzi, this is the Harley Davidson out on the water. This is the Ferrari, the Lexus, the quality and the craftsmanship that goes into this boat is just unbelievable. Not only in this boat, but the whole series. What size do you have in the Z series?
When Donzi first introduced the ZX series, they came out with a 33, and then close after that they followed with a 38. And those two large boats are basically a combination of the luxury cruiser type and a performance boat.
Real quick, that 38 that you're talking about,
Right.
Elegant boat.
Beautiful
You
boat.
happen to have a really great special going on right
Yes, we
now.
do.
What's the regular list price on that 38?
That boat would retail for approximately $210,000.
You're letting it go for $160,000.
correct.
If people see this, come down and look at the boat. They can call any one of your 3 locations
That's right.
to look at that
Right.
38. You're going to let it go for $50,000 less.
That's right.
That's
That has a pair of twin 525 supercharged Mercury engines on the back.
We're talking about some major power.
That's right.
You want to get down and you want to look at this boat. You want to look at the whole Z series. And Kathy, tell us how we get to a Great American Marine.
Great American Marine is located in St. Petersburg at 6810 Gulfport Boulevard, which is 22nd Avenue South. We're in the Pasadena area of St. Pete.
You're also in Sarasota.
In Sarasota, we're a mile south of the Sarasota Airport. And in Naples, we're right next door to Tent City in downtown.
Kathy, thanks so much for being on the
Thanks.
show. I love this boat. Come down and see it for yourself. You'll be glad you did.
Great, thanks.
Welcome back to Shipshape TV. I'm John and this is Joe. We're in Boca Raton, Florida at Boca Plastics, where we left off with Joe on this straight fluke bearing bit working on our piece. And now what we're going to do is we're going to ease the edges. But before we can do that, I want to remind you, whenever you're working with a router, you want to wear some eye protection. This isn't like fiberglass, but some of these chips may jump into your eyes, so it's always good to wear that. The way you guys have your router table set up here, Joe. As you can see, this half round bit really leaves a nice edge. Let's go ahead and do the holes and see how those come out. Joe, I love this stuff. This is great.
Really makes it nice.
Sure does.
John, looking at our piece here, we have a dado cut in here. The reason they put the dado into a wood piece is for strength.
It's a strength joint.
Right.
Now, we're going to modify our design a little bit, Joe. Is that correct?
Yes, we are. We're going to butt it right to the other piece.
So we're going to use a butt joint on the starboard. One of the cool things about starboard is it won't split or crack. That's one of the neat features about it. But we still need to lay out the holes, don't we?
Right. We do need the holes for lining up our job. So what we do is we put this on top, and we take an ordinary awl, and we mark our holes.
Now, Joe, when we drill those holes, is there anything that we need to take into consideration?
Yes, starboard expands and contracts. So we have to make the screw hole a little oversized.
Great point, Joe. Now we're going to make the shelf to our rod holder, and we're going to do that on the table saw. But first, we need to move our fence over to 6 1/4 inches, and that looks to be it right there. And we'll go ahead and rip our piece. Joe, here's the shelf hot off the table saw.
John, what we have is we have an oversized piece. The reason we oversize it is because we have to route cut the edges.
Okay, now why do you do that?
Because the saw leaves a lot of marks, and we want a nice, shiny, clean surface.
So what kind of bit do you use when you're trying to clean those edges?
I use a straight spiral bit with a fence.
Okay, let's see how this takes place. So Joe, whenever you're using woodworking tools on starboard, you want to go ahead and router all of your edges to take those saw marks out.
Every edge has to be routed.
Okay, I don't know if we can get in real close here, but take a look at what kind of a nice finish that straight bit really does. That does a great job. Now that that's done, we're going to go ahead and soften the edges again on the router table using the half-round router bit. Joe, can you turn it on? Again, what I'm doing is softening up the edges to where you have a real nice finish when taking out any of those saw marks. Let me finish up the end here. Get the other side. We're good to go.
John, now that we have to make the face piece for our project. What we do is we take this teak, because it's in good shape, we don't have to make a PVC piece.
Okay, so we can actually take the line directly off the board.
Right. Because it's so clean, we're going to use this as our pad.
Sounds great. All right, we finished replicating the face to our rod holder. And again, what we did is we used the half-round router bit to soften the edges. We drilled out our holes, countersunk them, and then we used some stainless hardware to put the pieces together. As you can see, there's quite a bit of difference between the original rod holder and our new starboard one. Now, Joe, what kind of maintenance is involved in caring for your starboard?
Well, John, there is no maintenance. It cleans up with soap and water.
Okay, what about UV factor?
It doesn't seem to be affected by it.
Okay, so there's plenty of staying power.
For years.
Absolutely, I love it. Now, you guys replicate a lot of things out here at Boca Plastics. Not only rod holders, but this is actually a step off of our project boat. And again, it's an exact replica. Rather it being in teak and cracked and dull and faded and all of that, you make it real nice in the starboard. These are some handrails that have come off of your boat.
My boat.
Actually. And when you're talking about refinishing this is a refinisher's nightmare. And you've totally alleviated that.
Eliminated it.
With the starboard. I like that. You've done a lot of modifications to your boat, Joe. I was hoping maybe we could go down and take a look.
Sure, John.
Don't change your heading. ShipShape will be right back.
When it's time to clean up those nasty, dirty, grungy dock lines, then it's time for you to pick up today the new rope and cord brush from Surehold Industries. The adjustable, flexible design easily wraps around half-inch to 1-inch, twisted or braided ropes, power cords, garden or bilge hoses, even your stainless steel rub rails. Use the might of this new brush with the cleaning power of Surehold's SMC Cleaner. Simply soak, then brush, sparkling clean. So get scrubbing today.
Joe, I really like what you've done with your 27-foot Albin that you're restoring. Can you tell us the starboard conversions that are going on?
Sure, John. I've changed the steps at a starboard. I've changed the platform at a starboard.
Nice. Now, how thick is that?
That's 1 inch with a 1 inch backing.
Real stout. Real
Strong.
stout. What else have you done?
I've done steps, moldings, handrails,
Okay.
and eventually I'm going to change all the trim around the windows.
Now, what about on the inside? I see you've got some lovely teak molding on your windows. Are you going to switch that out as well?
No, I kind of like a little teak inside, and the sun doesn't affect it inside.
Yeah, I like that look as well. Let's talk about price. I know people out there are wondering how much is it going to take to do a starboard conversion. What are we looking at?
It's moderately priced. If you were to change a piece of teak on your boat, it would probably be about the same amount of money.
About the same price. And how do people get a hold of you?
They call Boca Plastics, 362-4494.
Great. Joe, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you, John.
See you soon. Shipshape TV is the only show of its kind, informative as well as entertaining. We're reaching millions and millions of homes right here in Florida, and your marine-related business can get involved. If you're the boss, call me. If you have a boss, have him call me at area code 561-626-1439. We'll prove to you just how effective and how affordable Shipshape TV really is. If you want the boater, call us at area code 561-626-1439 now. You'll be glad you did. Well, that's all the time we have for this week's show. As you can see, starboard is a pretty versatile material, and the guys out here at Boca Plastics do a great job. I'm John Greviskis. Until next week, keep your boat shipshape.
If boating's your game, then you'll agree. Ship shape is the way to be. Out on the lake or on the sea, ship shape means trouble-free. Ship shape means being neater. Ship shape makes boat work easier. Ship shape is the